Hey everyone, RC Butts here, and I thought I'd show you a little tutorial here on how to program Spartan gyros. Specifically, we're going to start out with the example. We'll show you a quark gyro and the setup, but I'll tell you what the differences are also between the Spartan and the DS760 gyro. One main difference, other than the size that you'll see between these two, the quark conveniently has a little button on it right here, where the DX760 doesn't have the button around it anyhow. And the way that you access most of those menus, instead of using the button, for the DS760, what you have to do is, I'll show you. Come over here to the gyro menu, and basically instead of having the button on top of the quark, what they want you to do is switch between rate and head holding mode. And we know to get into rate mode we have to go below 50%, and to be in head holding mode we have to go above 50. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one mode that's set up into head holding mode. So I'll put that into 75, 80% is good. 75, 80, and then for the next mode, number 1, we're going to bring that down into a rate mode. Anything 25, 20%, whatever, as long as there's a clear distinction between heading, hold, and rate mode. And you can either use the stunt button and flip back and forth between stunt. Make sure the motor's off if you're going to do anything like this. You don't want it spinning up, and you don't want to provide any power to the motor. But what I like to do is, with my heading hold, I make sure that the pitch curves are the same so that the servos aren't all, the cyclic servos aren't all reacting to it when I do that. So I will go to 1 with head hold, and basically what you do with the DX760, as you turn it on, once you've got it set up that way, you're going to flip quickly between your rate and your head hold. Rate and heading hold mode as you turn it on. So you're going to have the transmitter on, be flipping back and forth, and then apply power to the helicopter, and then that's how you're going to get in that mode if you don't have a quark and you have a 760. It's a bit tricky, that's why the quark is so much more convenient for programming. Anyhow, so first thing we'll talk about is mounting. You got to make sure you've mounted it correctly. You want to have it aligned with the center of the helicopter, of course. If it's a larger helicopter, anything larger than a 500, you want to make sure that you have, like it says in the instructions, 3mm foam pad, then have a metal shield, then a 1 or 3mm foam pad again, and then the gyro on top of that. And that's how we've got it here. If it's a 250, 450, or 500, it says just use a 3mm foam pad. That's enough. It's not going to create as much vibration that is going to create problems. So, also with the placement of the servo, different helicopters are going to have different requirements, but for the most part, small ones, have about 7.5mm from the servo shaft. Large helicopters, like it says in the instructions, 13.5 to 16.5mm. And you always want to have a good 90-degree setup so that you have your tail set up so that at center stick with the rudder, you're basically at the center. What they recommend is a little bit over here, 8 degrees of a different pitch this way, which in the center you are almost there. But you want to make sure that your servo has the full range so that you can go from one side to the other. If you don't, you'll find that out in your setup. Okay, so before you plug anything in or turn anything on, you're going to want to know what the frame rate is on the servo that you're using. So you're going to set up the specific frame rate on the servo here. So it's a different mode that you have to access. Again, with the DX760, it's something different. You're going to have to hold the left stick over on the DS760 while you toggle between heading, hold, and rate mode while you turn it on. But lucky us, we've got the quark gyro, and we can just hold the button down as we apply power to it. So it's really simple. The servo that I have is, a standard 1520. Most of them are standard 1520. You can see some of them 760. Like on my TRX 700, I have a BLS 251. That's a 760. So you want to make sure that you have the right frame rate for the right servo, and it describes 1 flash, 2 flash, 3 flash, 4 flash, and we'll show you what those flashes mean here in just a second. Okay, so we're going to get this guy set up. So first thing you want to do is to adjust the frame rate. You want to hold the button down while you apply power to it. Then what happens, this violet light will start flashing. And see how it's flashing once? That's what it means here with the 1 flash, 2 flash, 3 flash, 4 flash is for the frame rate. So if you want to go between the different menus for the number of flashes, you can go, for example, on your left stick, give right rudder, see, and then it goes 1, 2, 2 flashes. Give it right rudder again, 1, 2, 3. So that's what the selection for the 1520 at 250 Hertz frequency. So if you go right again, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it pauses. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to go left again. 1, 2, 3, left again, 1, 2, left, back to the 1 flash. Okay, so just the single 1 flash is exactly what I want, what I'm going for my servo that I'm going to be using. So now that you've got the frame rate set up on there, you can confirm that by pressing the button here again, and then it'll go back to this mode. You always want to be safe, just because you can possibly destroy your servo. Just go back into that menu and make sure that it's at the frame rate that you wanted it programmed. So it's 1 flash, exactly the way I want it. Okay, so now that you have the frame rate already programmed into the gyro, you're all set to plug the servo into the gyro, and it's already plugged into the receiver here, so you should all be set to go, because the receiver the servo is going to give you indications of the fact that you're in programming mode and what's going on through the whole time. But make sure you've had the frame rate programmed in here first. Another thing you have to remember is that to enter the programming mode, you have to do it within the first 15 or 20 seconds of turning the receiver on. Otherwise, you're going to be holding it down and nothing's going to be happening. So, best rule of thumb, if you're going to be programming the Spartan gyro, make sure that you enter programming mode right after turning it on. Okay, so I'll show you a little instance here. Just going to turn it on, let it power up, get ready. You've got the red status light, and then you hold the programming button down for a couple seconds, and then the servos are going to, you can hear it, it's going to start moving a little bit, and I'll show you over here once again from the tail side exactly what's happening. So what we do is we turn it on, see, as we enter programming mode, so it just goes back, forth, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. First thing you're going to want to do is show it which direction you want it to go into. You're going to want to show it left rudder. So left rudder is the first thing you do. And then after you go into the left rudder, you're showing it which direction it's going to compensate. Then you press the button on the Spartan quark again, and it does another one of those. And now you're teaching it the full limit over here. So you can push it over a little bit, and then you can push it right. You have a range here. But here, if you go too far, you hear the servo buzzing, so you want to go that far, and then back it off, see where the servo is not buzzing anymore. Well, my cyclic servos are, but tail servo, no tail servo buzzing. Okay, so after it's buzzing, you want to go all the way and then back it out just a little bit. Press the button again, programming button. Now it's going to show the limit on the other side. So the same thing that you did on the left rudder. You go right, hear it buzzing, back it up, back it out just a little bit to where it's not buzzing, and that way you've got a full limit. And then you press the programming button again, and then it exits programming mode. So that's confirming it's done. Now it's not going to do anything. You got to power it down. Just to keep my receiver from blinking, and turn off the receiver as well. Turn it back on, let it arm itself. Now, it should be correct in the sense, sorry for wiggling the camera there, guys. It should be correct in the sense that you go left on the rudder, should make the slider go right, and then right on the rudder should make the slider go left. Or, this is definitely for an Align helicopter, it's the slider, but for some other helicopters like Compass, you don't watch the slider, watch the leading edge. Still, you want the leading edge to go the opposite of the direction that the stick's going. So you go right stick, leading edge goes left, left stick, leading edge goes right. This may be down and up for you guys. But you see that the limits are exactly what we programmed in here. There's no binding of the receiver, and it's good to go. Also, just to make sure that you've got the correct direction this way, you push it left, and then the leading edge should go right, or the tail pitch slider. Push it right, it should go left. So it should go the opposite of the direction that you're pushing it. Okay, but that's how you program a Spartan quark. And like I said, for the DS760, you're going to have to program on the gyro so that you go between head hold and rate mode. Hold the left stick to get into the and flip it when you turn it on to get into the programming mode for the frame rate. And for the regular programming, all you're going to have to do is when you power up, make sure you're toggling between rate and head hold. So toggle between those two and power it up. Might take a couple tries, but you should be able to get it. So any questions, go ahead and leave them on my page, and I'll do whatever I can to help. Thanks.